You probably won't make it through this day. That's all right. History was never meant to be rushed. It prefers slow footsteps, quiet fires, and the kind of story that waits for you, not the other way around. Welcome, traveler, to African Sleepless Historian, where the wind carries whispers of empires, and the past glows like embers in the dark. If your eyes grow heavy as we journey, let them. And before sleep claims you, tell me in the comments, where in the world are you listening from? And what time is it there? Now, let's ease into tonight's journey, slowly, like sinking into warm sand at the edge of memory. Tonight, we drift into the golden silence of West Africa, to a kingdom where the sun-kissed stone and salt was traded like treasure, and at its heart was a man who turned gold into legend, Mansa Musa. Not born into greatness, but remembered as if he had shaped the stars themselves. You hear it, don't you? The hush of the desert, the soft groan of a caravan settling for the night, camels kneeling on sand that still remembers the weight of their journey. You stand outside the city of Niani, where Musa ruled. The walls glow dimly under moonlight. Inside, a fire crackles in a clay hearth, and gold dust clings to the folds of a merchant's robe. But this is no tale of glitter and kings shouting from balconies. This story moves slowly. It whispers through baked palms. It breathes in the folds of quiet linen. It waits in the breath between prayer and sleep. You lie back on a woven mat. The sky above you is wide and without hurry. And tonight, time is generous. Mansa Musa, a name dipped in gold, yes, but also wrapped in silence and shadow and sand. Was he the richest man who ever lived? Perhaps. Historians still debate whether his wealth can truly be measured, or if it simply became myth too quickly. But here, under this sky, you don't need proof, only patience. Let the stars blink slowly above you. Let the past stretch out like the dunes, wide and unbroken. We begin not with a shout, but with the soft rustle of robes in a stone courtyard, as the boy who would become Musa listens to stories by firelight. And quietly, the gold begins to glow. You wake just enough to hear it, the slow tide of memory pulling closer. Musa was not born to rule. He was a deputy, a placeholder, a man standing in the doorway, while another went looking for the horizon. The king before him, Bakr II, had a fascination with the sea. One day, he sailed west with ships and dreams, and never returned. Some say he found a new world. Others say the ocean swallowed him whole. No one knows for sure. The Atlantic does not give back its secrets easily, but in the silence that followed, Musa stepped forward, not with noise, with steadiness. He took a throne built on trade and tribute, and turned it into a place where knowledge took root. He didn't just expand borders, he organized them, repaired roads, protected caravans. He made sure the salt moved north, the gold moved east, and the peace stayed home. At night, he walked the quiet paths of Niani, past mud-brick walls and reed-roofed homes. He listened more than he spoke. He was devout, but not loud. And under his rule, Mali exhaled a slow breath of stability after chaos. You hear it now, a page turning in the dark. The first scholar has arrived. He carries texts written in ink darker than midnight, books that traveled farther than any sword ever has. By day, merchants gather near the mosque. They speak of Cairo, of Mecca, of cities made of marble. And in the center of it all, Musa listens carefully, and he waits, because some journeys don't begin with a first step. They begin with a decision. And in the soft middle of a quiet empire, Mansa Musa decides he will go to Mecca, not alone. But that is a story we'll follow. Slowly, the night deepens now. You're safe beneath the stars. Let the golden hush return. Let it press gently against your thoughts. You are part of a world that once was, and still is in memory. Sleep or don't, the story will wait. The wind changes slightly. You feel it graze your skin, soft as silk, carrying a scent of earth and spice. The year is 1324, and Mansa Musa is no longer sitting quietly in Niani. He is moving. You hear it before you see it, a sound like thunder whispered through cloth. Footsteps, thousands of them, camels groaning under satin-covered loads, drummers tapping the beat of the journey, golden dust lifting into the morning sun. They say he took 60,000 people with him. Or was it 100,000? Historians still argue about the size, but everyone agrees. No king before or after moved like this. At the center of the procession, Musa rides beneath a parasol made of eagle feathers and gold thread. His robes are simple, but his presence isn't. The camels behind him carry hundreds of pounds of gold dust, stored in leather pouches and gourds, not locked away. No, this is gold to be given. The pilgrimage to Mecca is one of faith, but for Musa, it also becomes a kind of introduction, a quiet declaration to the world. We are here, and we do not arrive empty-handed. They pass through Gao, where children peek out from reed huts, through the Sahel, where the horizon stretches like time itself. By the time they reach Cairo, word has spread, and the city listens. There, Musa gives freely, to the poor, the scholars, the merchants, and to those who didn't even ask. He gives so much gold that he accidentally causes hyperinflation. Yes, the price of bread in Cairo skyrockets because the gold became too common. Imagine being so generous you damage an entire economy. That's one way to make an impression. Still, Musa doesn't boast. He prays. He listens. He trades not just wealth, but wisdom. A local historian in Cairo writes of the encounter years later, with awe and a little confusion. Who was that soft-spoken king, he muses. With pockets full of sunlight, you settle deeper under your blanket. The firelight dims. The caravan fades into memory, but the sand remembers. It always does. After a year on the road, Mansa Musa returns. But he is not alone. He brings home a caravan heavier than before, not with gold, but with minds. Scholars, architects, poets. Among them is the famous Andalusian architect Al-Sahili, whose designs will soon rise like poems written in stone. You hear the hum of Timbuktu, just beginning to awaken. Its streets are lines of soft footsteps. Donkeys carry scrolls wrapped in cloth. Children run between mosques shaped like dunes, their laughter echoing off mud walls. And in the heart of the city, something remarkable grows. Sankar University. Built beneath the soft gaze of desert stars, it becomes one of the most important centers of learning in the world. Yes, the world. At its height, Timbuktu's libraries hold over 400,000 manuscripts, treatises on law, astronomy, medicine, theology, many handwritten in Arabic calligraphy, so precise. It looks like it breathes. Some of those books still exist. Some were lost, and some have not yet been fully read. You pause to imagine this. A desert city where salt is traded for scrolls, and where night falls not on silence, but on the low murmur of ideas being whispered between candle flames. There's a detail often forgotten. Scribes in Timbuktu used chewed acacia bark to darken their ink, and sometimes they'd mix it with perfume so their work would smell as beautiful as it read. That's the kind of knowledge Musa brought home. Not just functional, but tender. He built not just buildings, but trust, a kingdom where curiosity was sacred. And if you listen now, really listen, you might still hear the faint rustle of parchment in the wind. Timbuktu sleeps, but it dreams deeply, just like you. Mansa Musa is home now, but across the sea, in parchment-covered rooms and candle-lit towers, his name begins to take on myth. In 1375, over 50 years after his great journey, a Spanish cartographer dips his pen and draws something unusual, a map, not just of Europe, but of Africa. And on it, in West Africa, right near where Mali should be, he sketches a man seated on a throne, holding a golden nugget the size of his head. He labels it simply, Rex Meli, the king of Mali. It is the Catalan Atlas, one of the most important maps of the medieval world. And there, sitting quietly in the desert dust of parchment, is Mansa Musa. Historians still debate how the mapmakers knew about him. Perhaps word of the gold caravan reached the ports of Europe. Perhaps it was whispered by traders in Cairo, or carried in salt caravans that wound toward the Mediterranean like threads of story. No one's quite sure. But one thing is certain. He mattered. The ink drawing doesn't capture his face, but it captures his presence. Composed, golden, still. Maps in those days weren't just navigation tools. They were declarations. Here is what we think matters. And in the heart of Africa, they drew Mansa Musa. You trace the image in your mind now. A quiet king in the sand, not with armies or banners, but with a single raised hand, as if offering the world a piece of the sun. No words spoken, but everyone listens. That's the kind of power that lingers in silence, the kind of power that doesn't rust. The empire of Mali stretches far now, beyond what most maps can capture. Gold glitters in the rivers, but salt keeps people alive. From the mines of Tagaza, Pentaudeni, workers cut slabs of salt as thick as books, stacking them like ancient bricks under the burning sun. Caravans carry them south, their camels marked by toughened leather muzzles, and the songs of guides who know every dune by heart. They pass through cities made not of marble, but of mud, stone, and breath. Gao, Jen, Walata. You hear the call to prayer rise from a mud mosque, its towers shaped like fingers reaching for the stars. The air smells of smoke and millet porridge and the spice of trade. Every coin exchanged carries a whisper of Musa's name, and every scholar who writes beneath a lantern adds another syllable to his legend. It wasn't just wealth that built this empire. It was continuity. Trade routes, stories, prayers, all flowing like tributaries into a single wide river. And still, Musa does not shout. He listens. He blesses wells. He ensures that learning becomes inheritance. In one village, a poet compares him to a tree that shades the road but takes no toll. You smile. That's what people remember. Not just what he took, but what he left behind. He's old now, slower, quieter. He sits longer at night, watching the stars. And somewhere, in a quiet city of clay, a child reads by candlelight, not knowing that his scroll exists because a king once gave away gold in Cairo. The fire flickers. Your breath softens. The salt glows pale in the moonlight, and the empire sleeps with you. By now, Mansa Musa is no longer just a man. He's become a hush on the wind, a name that moves in caravan songs and schoolyard prayers. But in his final years, far from the glitter of maps and foreign courts, Musa returns again to simplicity. He walks the courtyards of Niani in the early morning, his sandals quiet on the baked earth. Sometimes he pauses to listen to the soft clatter of looms, to the sound of goats waking, to the slow conversations of women drawing water from the well. He nods, blesses, smiles. He is no longer rich the way the world imagines, but he is rich in the way elders are, full of stories and sorrows and soft wisdom that doesn't ask to be admired. He donates to mosques no one sees. He funds scribes who write only for local children. He plants fig trees by the roadside. Once, they say, a passing trader asked him, "Why do you keep giving?" Musa only said, "Because the world remembers kindness longer than coins." And maybe he was right, because his name, centuries later, still wraps itself in awe. He is buried somewhere along the Niger River. No grand mausoleum, no golden pyramid, just earth and story. His legacy lives in learning, in peace, in the memory of a man who proved that greatness could wear a gentle voice and open hands. And now, so gently you barely notice it, your eyes begin to close. The fire of the story dims, and the soft night of sleep rises. The desert is quiet now. The stars blink, but even they seem slower, as if time itself is ready to rest. Mali has faded into the distance, but its warmth remains. You are no longer listening to a tale. You are living inside it. The soft echo of camel steps, the golden dust suspended in sunlight, the hush of Timbuktu's libraries. All of it wraps gently around your thoughts, folding them like worn parchment into the quiet. Historians still ask the question, where did it all go? The mountains of gold that Mansa Musa gave away on his pilgrimage, the lavish gifts, the overflowing markets, the generous donations to the poor and the learned, seemed to scatter like stardust across 3 continents. But like stardust, they did not vanish. They simply drifted quietly into places no map could mark. In the bustling markets of Cairo, merchants once shaken by the sudden flood of gold would later tell tales to their sons. They spoke of a king from the west who gave not for glory, but from grace, who bowed before no sultan, yet honored every stranger with kindness. Coins engraved with foreign markings, some believed from Musa's court surfaced years later in faraway bazaars, worn smooth by many hands. A few were set into pendants. Some were tucked away in corners of merchant houses, wrapped in faded cloth. Others were lost in the shifting sands, swallowed by time. But Musa's legacy was never just the gold. It was in the mosques he helped build, the books he paid scribes to copy, the scholars he fed and clothed, the students who lit their lamps late into the night because of his patronage. In Timbuktu, where the air was dry and the stars sharp, a single manuscript might pass through generations, its first ink funded by a king who believed knowledge outlived empires. Some say Musa's generosity changed how people saw African kings, not as warriors alone, but as visionaries, builders of thought, not just fortresses. And though Mali's borders would shift and new rulers would rise, the story of a king who gave too much would be whispered from grandmother to grandchild in villages where gold never touched the soil. Some even said that gold remembered him, that it softened wherever it landed, that coins given in kindness held warmth longer than those earned in war. There are still those who search for the lost gold of Musa, treasure hunters tracing caravan routes through the Sahel, digging near collapsed wells or ancient mosques, hoping to find a glint of the emperor's wealth. But those who truly understand, they say the gold is already found in every peaceful library that still stands in the Sahara's reach, in every tale passed down beneath the baobab, in every quiet gift given by one human to another without a demand. The richest man to ever live. But his greatest wealth was never counted. It lingered in silence, in stories, and in the soft footsteps of those who followed his way. Now, you close your eyes, and for a moment, you are there. The sun has set over the desert. You are walking the quiet road where Mansa Musa once passed. The sands are cool beneath your feet. Somewhere in the distance, a coin glints softly in the starlight, and the wind carries the hum of 1,000 stories waiting to be remembered. Now the desert sleeps. The wind hushes over the ruins. The stars blink over quiet mosques and broken walls, still standing in Mali's warm dust. Mansa Musa's legacy still lingers, not in noise, but in silence. Let it drift over you now, like soft Saharan wind, warm and endless. Let the echoes of a golden king settle in your dreams. You are safe. You are still. And the past is sleeping with you. You've been listening to Sleepless, African Historian, and if this story soothed you, return next time, where the next legend waits quietly beneath the sands.